doesn't even look real. How's your day been? Have you been walking around?
Yes, it's been lovely. Very chill. But at some point I got a little overwhelmed because it was so much coffee. And I'm like, first you can't buy anything. And I'm like, how do I choose? Like I'm already like over my little budget that I wanted to maintain. And then I start seeing things I'm like, I could get this for my family.
Grows in high altitudes, like 800 to 2,200 meters over the sea level. And when we have high altitudes, we have less oxygen, and less oxygen means less insects or the predators for the plant. The plant develop for evolution or by evolution less natural defense for the predators. And the natural defense of the plant of coffee is caffeine. Well, the face of the tool you're going to work. Okay, we don't want these ones, so green ones are bad.
Okay guys, so right now I am looking for coffee beans. They said about 20 red beans for 1 cup of coffee. And you want something super red. I don't know if this is a good example. Purple would be overripe. And then the green and yellow, he said completely skip. We were talking about land ownership and how people from other countries could technically purchase land to have their own coffee farm. To me, this is an interesting perspective because it means that anyone can come and purchase land that may not necessarily benefit the people or workers that are here. I'm really curious on the rights of the people that pick the beans. I also had no idea that coffee beans literally grew on trees. I thought it would be like a bush. I also don't I don't drink a lot of coffee, so let me show you some examples of what these beans look like. Yellow, green, some more yellow and green. Ooh, there's a red one right there. Can I reach it? I don't think so. There's one, you guys. Do you see it? Right there. Maybe you can't. Wait. Where is it? Right here. One's purple, so I don't want to touch that one. I can zoom in. There you go. I'm a scavenger. I definitely wore the wrong outfit for this. All these bugs. There's a lot of red ones there. But it's super, super high. I have no way to get up there.
Where are the bees? Here, please. You can just, if you want.
It's like cereal. Really sticky.
Before the cat eats it, is it with pea without?
I don't know. I think there is a process. We have 3 processes here in this farm. And in fact, 4 processes, but 3 are the standards. Well, the first one is bees start flowing with water. Flowing here, and I think a ton, maybe a ton of coffee and cherry fit into that.
But let's see.
It's okay if you have any. Okay, we can go over here. Continue. Yeah, that's okay. Thank you very much. No problem. Smell it and can grab it and pass it, please. Thank you.
Smells good, actually.
And we want to give you like a little tips for preparing your coffee. The first one is the roasting. You know, we suggest you to choose the middle roasting, the medium roasting, you know, because if it's very light, well, if we choose a middle or a medium roasting, we're gonna get a balance between the sour and bitter, and that's the way we want our coffee. Well, always suggest. Remember, these all are suggestions, are not that rules like laws. No. It's called the sock, grandma's sock, or something like that. It's because grandmas usually use their socks for repairing when this get damaged or something like that. That's something people say here. Well, but it's just like a filter. It's a filter, so only it's made by cloths and it's reusable, but we can use Chemex or V60, and that's filters made by paper, and that's the thing. We use here middle or medium grinding because they're not too fast. The water not gonna be too fast, but not like this one. This is the French press. The French press, we have to put water, coffee, and push down a filter, and we just want. We don't use fine there because maybe it can get residuals or something like that into our coffee, so we don't want that. So we use the coarse grinding because we want all the residuals get stuck there in the bottom of the bottle. Okay, that's the grinding, and the grinding only depends on the methods. Okay, now the water, the temperature of the water, we recommend like 90 degrees Celsius because we don't want the boiling point because we start extracting bitterness. Much temperature, much bitterness we are going to extract from our coffee. Tea and water, we recommend, or we're going to use here 1/12. Whoa, can I see the water? Yeah, it's okay. Or I need a volunteer, please, that can help me to prepare or brew our coffee. Go in circles. When the coffee is wet, we stop. Okay? So in circles. When the coffee is wet, we stop. And they say something like, "You like a lot of coffee? Lift?
Sniff.
Sniff."
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sniff.
But when you try,
Are you saying a smell?
Sniffing is
Oh.
coke, right?
Sniff is like when you like a first smell of something.
Sniff.
That's what I thought you
Okay.
were saying.
But
But you do sniff cocaine. That is.
Oh my god.
And then your first taste of something is a sip.
Sip. Okay, that's the thing I was talking about. The first sip, or it's not the first because
It should be loud, right?
it should be
Loud.
loud.
Loud. You should hear
Like a
that.
slurp. There's a new word.
Yeah. You need to listen.
Exactly.
The first because it's going to spread the particles of coffee into your mouth, so you need to
Interesting.
it's maybe
Okay, guys, the tour just ended. Here's my little friend. I don't know if you can see him. Anyways, like I was saying, I don't really drink coffee, so this experience was actually very educational for me to understand what the process is like and how much effort goes into getting the coffee that we mostly drink in America and in Europe. But seriously, I could count on my hand how many times I've drinking coffee at all. Some key notes that I learned today. So usually people that work here at the farm are paid by the amount of kilos that they pick. They do not get a typical salary. There is no technical job protections for them. So it does make me wonder how we can better support the people that are doing the harder work here. But ultimately, during the high seasons, they can pick anywhere from 80 to 100 kilograms per day. And they usually make anywhere from 50,000 to 80,000 Colombian cop per day, which is very different. It can be a little bit higher than the minimum wage here in Colombia. So it is a very hard work. He mentioned that there's a lot of people that are over 50 that do this work because a lot of the younger crowd does not want to have a more migratory lifestyle, because in order to continually have a salary throughout the year, you have to move to different farms in different regions. So it is very difficult work, and he was estimating that in about 20 years they're going to have to come up with a better solution and how to better protect the workers, as well as better support them, since they will be losing a high amount of the working class within that time frame. He talked about how April through June is usually the high season, as well as September through November, so I just missed it coming here in July. Buckets and pictures and videos that we saw are just between that April to June time, so they make most of their money, as well as I think like 70% of the actual picking process during that time of the year. Now, he mentioned for the workers that food and room are usually paid for by the company, but that's it. There isn't any social security or insurance. Again, it's a little bit higher to work here compared to the minimum wage in Colombia, but of course it's very difficult work. You're working like 10 to 12 hours a day and you're paid by the kilo, so it really depends what you can find. At this specific farm, he was saying there's around 15 to 30 workers, so each of them get a couple of hectares that they can work on during those high season cycles. So there is a lot of space for them to pick what they can, but of course it's still difficult work. But that's also what makes it so high quality, is because everything is handpicked. He was explaining with the second class or second quality coffee, where things are more mechanical. He was saying they were just like shaking the trees, and from there they pick up the beans, and they use that to develop their coffee, but it's not as delicious. I can't compare, considering I don't drink a lot of coffee, so really this tour was for me to understand the process a bit more. He also shared how trees have cycles of about 5 years, so every 5 years they kind of cut it short so it can regrow. But the trees themselves can last about 20 to 30 years, which I thought was really interesting. He talked about how the Arabia or Arabica is a sweeter bean and in higher demand than the Robusta bean. So he also talked about the development of the plant itself and how having more sun actually expedites the process of growth, which in turn means that the bean doesn't actually develop the different nodes for tasting, which gives it a poorer taste. So he was saying it was better to have some kind of coverage above the coffee plants themselves in order to develop a higher quality product. He did go into a lot of detail about how internally Colombians usually have what they call this second class coffee, because in order to process it but in order to further process it and also further roast it, only people with a lot of money can be able to afford that. So even though Colombia, he said, was the second or third largest producer of these coffee plants, they spend more money and they receive more money by being able to send their they call them green almonds, to send these green almonds to Europe or to America, where people can pay these higher premiums, and then internally Colombians just taste the lower classification of coffee. So I think that was really interesting. There didn't seem to me much of a solution for how to put more money into Colombian pockets. I'm very curious if you know of any solutions or people that are practicing more sustainable and triple bottom line cycles of production. He did talk about the origin myth or origin story of coffee in general. It stems from Ethiopia, where a goat herder noticed that one day his goats had a lot more energy, and he noticed them eating these red beans. It turned out that these red beans were really bitter and really gross because he tried some himself. And it wasn't until he threw them into the fire that he recognized, oh my gosh, this has a really good smell. What if I continue to roast it? And from there, the myth of the coffee bean was born. And from Ethiopia, it got introduced to different forms, to different countries in the Middle East, is what he declared. And from there, it spread from Europe into the Americas. So in this region, specifically in Colombia, he said they have the altitude, they have the nutrients in their soil in order to be able to grow both kinds of coffee, which is, again, the Arabica and the Robusta bean, but in general they chose to only do the Arabica, and it's how they're able to also sell them at higher prices for people overseas. Overall, this is an incredible experience. It's very beautiful to get here. The Jeep was very bumpy, the roads were really interesting, but I like that environment. I'm very grateful that there are opportunities to learn and be more tactile with the local populations that I'm visiting. Here's my little friend. He's been following me the entire tour. I will name you Mire, my king. Too cool.